This is Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the book The Four Agreements. Now, I don't subscribe to everything he teaches, but in this book there is a genius idea. One of the tenets is to be impeccable with your word.
It's enough to live your life in heaven, we can say in that way.
This means that you speak with integrity, honesty, and truthfulness. Say only what you mean and speak what you desire. Of course, it's impossible to 100% of the time be impeccable with your words.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
But it is worthwhile to try to do this as often as you can. The words we say are like magic spells that we cast on ourselves. This is what Alan Moore, the creator of Watchmen, said about this.
The idea of a grimoire, a dark book of spells. Grimoire is simply another way of spelling grammar. According to Crowley, to cast a spell is simply to spell.
When I began practicing this concept, I noticed that I would always use the phrase, I don't know. I would tag it onto my opinions. For example, I would say something like, I think you can learn a lot of life lessons from surfing. I don't know. I didn't realize I was doing this until I began practicing being impeccable with my words. I understood that repeating I don't know all the time was just a reflection of my own insecurity, and so I stopped saying it. When you are impeccable with your words, your whole life begins to change in a positive direction because you stop reinforcing limiting beliefs and start embedding your true intentions to your subconscious. Do you feel like life is hopeless? Do you have anxiety about this? This next idea will help you a lot. It comes from Joseph Campbell, the professor and writer who popularized the hero's journey.
Namely, that if you do follow your bliss, you put yourself on a kind of track that has been there all the while waiting for you, and the life that you ought to be living is the one you're living somehow. And when you can see it, you begin to deal with people who are in the field of your bliss, and they open doors to you. I say follow your bliss and don't be afraid, and doors will open where you didn't know they were going to be.
Follow your bliss. It seems like such a simple thing to do. In fact, as children, almost everybody follows this principle. The problem is that as we get older and society places demands on us, we lose touch with what truly gives us joy. Throughout my life, there have been certain activities that I became obsessed with out of pure enjoyment. When I was young, I started watching kung fu movies all the time. Eventually, my father enrolled me in a karate class. After this, I became a lot happier in general. I started doing better at school, and girls mysteriously started becoming interested in me. When you follow your bliss, you become a better human, and this improves all areas of your life. This next idea has improved my day-to-day life more than anything else. It was popularized by ex-Navy SEAL Jocko Willink.
It seems like sleeping in the morning is a form of freedom because, hey, I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to sleep in. But the reality is when you sleep in, now you don't get things done. And now those things that you were supposed to do aren't done. And now the next day you have to wake up early and get them done, not because you want to, but because you have to. So you've become a slave to the fact that you didn't have discipline. So if you actually want to have freedom in your life, you have to implement discipline on yourself.
I'm sure a lot of you have heard it before. Discipline equals freedom. You see, I never bought into the idea of being a disciplined person until I really understood the absolute necessity of it. Being disciplined in different areas of your life like exercise, diet, work, and spirituality is like armor against this chaotic world. Probably the biggest benefit, though, is that it gives you the freedom to relax and enjoy yourself after you've checked off all your boxes. It sucks to live in a state where you always feel like you never did enough. The idea of personal freedom has become a huge motivator for me to stay on top of all aspects of my life as best as I can. This last idea can help you achieve any goal you set for yourself, and that's not an exaggeration at all. Integrative medicine Dr. Andrew Weil said this about quitting addictive substances.
It doesn't matter if you succeed. It's making the attempt to quit goes into a reservoir of motivation that one day will be full enough that it's easy. And this, by the way, happens with heroin addicts, happens with cigarette addicts. I've seen many people, lifelong cigarette addicts, struggled, gave it up, came back. One day they wake up and they look at stained fingers or a dirty ashtray and they don't want to do it anymore. And it's easy. There's no struggle.
In other words, motivation is a muscle. It is something that can be built up over time. In the past, I would pursue some goal, like starting a business, and eventually lose motivation and quit. This is the wrong approach. When you lose motivation, don't quit. Just take a break and then come back to your endeavor when you've recovered. Do this over and over, and you'll find that your overall motivation increases. Here's the mind-blowing thing about this idea, which I've tested myself. Every habit and emotion can be treated as a muscle. All these things can be built up like a bodybuilder. Creativity, willpower, happiness, empathy, confidence. The list goes on and on. It's well worth it to push yourself to improve not just physically, but mentally as well. I hope that you adopt even just one of these ideas because each of them can potentially be life-changing. It's a tough journey to create your ideal life for sure, but these ideas can be used as superpowers to help you succeed. Remember, stay on your path, and good things are coming your way.